Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Movie Mortis, where movie madness lives. This is our podcast. My name is Nick.
And I'm Drew.
And I'm Kim.
And since it is still May at time of recording this, we are once again continuing our little well, not really our little tradition, but we are once again doing our very special thing where we are reviewing all the Star Wars movies. Last episode we did the original trilogy, but now we're doing the Oh So Wonderful trilogy. This is where the fun begins.
The Oh So Wonderful trilogy. I think you forgot a word in that sentence. You forgot to say prequel.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete. And yes, folks, I'm going to be quoting the prequels a lot. Oh man. Oh boy, the prequel memes. Anyways, so as per tradition, we are talking about this in release order. We'll be starting and like we did the last episode, we'll
Start with
I
the
literally
Phantom
just blanked
Menace.
out. I just blanked out. Help me out.
We'll start with the Phantom Menace, and we'll talk about Attack of the Clones, then Revenge of the Sith.
Thank you. I don't know why this has never happened before. The fact that I just blanked out mid sentence. This is the first time this has ever happened on this podcast. This doesn't normally happen in normal conversation.
Everything.
Anyways,
first time for everything.
Yeah, first time for everything. Let's jump right into the Phantom Menace. So, our general thoughts on the Phantom Menace. I'll go first. Controversial opinion, I like the Phantom Menace. I think it's a fine film. It has its flaws. It's not a perfect movie, but I think it's a fun adventure movie, all things considered.
I think it's dull. I think it's duller than I don't know, I'm trying to think of dull analogies.
Grass growing?
Okay, not that dull. But I am, as you'll find out throughout this episode, I am not outside of Revenge of the Sith. I think the prequels are rather lackluster and are pretty dull. But the Phantom Menace, I think, it's got its moments for sure. It's got its good moments for sure, like the lightsaber fight, and some of the music is John Williams, some of his best pieces, I think. And I think it has. There's one kind of overall opinion. I don't want to say opinion, but there's this thing that I think the flaw that episodes 1 and 2 have that I don't think 3 has. That I'll probably get to a bit later. But in short, episodes 1 and 2 to me kind of feel like filler, but I'll explain that later.
All right. Tim, what did you think of the Phantom Menace? Give us your general thoughts.
I would say that I liked it quite a bit, actually. Definitely my favorite. Humble beginnings and everything, and Jar Jar, and how Anakin was a sweet kid and everything, and it was just pretty wholesome, and how Palpatine, just how he was like more humanized. Definitely. So with Queen Amidala and caring for Amidala and Anakin, I would say so. Seeing potential in Anakin, I would say so, and and building himself up to be a politician. So I find it the most interesting. So
Cool. All right. Yeah, I definitely like seeing Palpatine's origins before he became like. I mean, he was still a Sith Lord, but like this is before he became all murky, gross, and evil. But
true.
I think that was kind of interesting. And personally, probably my favorite parts were the beginning where they're like in the Separatist ship, and then they need to escape to, what's that planet called again? Naboo, and then of course the pod race. That is absolutely amazing. And in my honest opinion, I think the special effects in the pod race absolutely hold up. And of course, we cannot forget the final battle on both Naboo and the lightsaber fight.
Lightsaber fight is on Naboo.
Oh shit, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
It's just. I mean, the set pieces. Yeah, I know they're just CGI, but it's kind of funny how like they really go. You know how in like the original trilogy, each had their own unique environments, or there's like another fancy term for it, but I can't remember. Biodome. Their own little like biodome theme. Like New Hope was Tatooine desert. Empire was like snowy Dagobah. Like that's the thing about the Star Wars movies. They have amazing biodomes for their locations. And I think the prequel trilogy also showcases that. Like Naboo just feels like a less dirty version of Endor, and I like how there's like a more city to it. Like we see the planets have a bigger scope within the Star Wars universe, and they're not just a single. Well, I mean, they maybe like yeah, they kind of are a single bottom, but there's more going on than just foresty. And then of course there's Coruscant, which is a really nice, cool city planet. And we'll explore more of Coruscant in episode 2, but I'll explain that later. And
by the way, not to get all weird about this, but I believe it's pronounced Coruscant.
Yeah, Coruscant.
I feel like such a fake fan right now. But anyways,
I will say that to kind of like extend on what you're saying, that's one thing I do kind of, even though I don't think the visual effects I think hold up as much as you probably think do, but something that I actually do appreciate about some of the visuals that and the work that ILM did with this movie. I mean, it was for the time it was pretty groundbreaking for what they were doing with the what they could do with the CGI at the time.
Say what you want about Jar Jar, but he was.
But here's I'll get to Jar Jar in a second. But as far as like the look of the planets, I mean, in the original trilogy, they took a single environment and be like the whole planet looks like this.
Yeah.
But with the prequels, it did get a bit more variety. You got expansive, and you had more variety, and it had I do think a lot of the like exterior establishing shots still I think look pretty good for the most part today. That's something I do appreciate about these movies, that it did offer more variety in terms of environments and biodomes, if you want to be fancy about it. And I guess to go off of and for motion capture characters like Jar Jar, that was pretty that was very groundbreaking at the time.
Nowadays we're so used to seeing.
I mean that doesn't make Jar Jar any less annoying, but
we want to get into Jar Jar.
If you want to, come on, let's go.
Well, first of all, I just want to say we're so used to seeing so many like fully CG characters nowadays that we just got to remember it all started with the key to all of this, Jar Jar Binks, which we will now talk about Jar Jar. Hot take alert: I didn't think Jar Jar was that bad. I kind of like Jar Jar. I mean, he wasn't perfect. I didn't like all of his.
I don't think he's like the worst character or ever anything crazy like that. But I find him to be. I found a lot of, because I know he's supposed to be like the comic relief type character, but it's like a lot of some of his humor just comes at really weird times, where it's just the humor itself is just like it's poop jokes. Like, look. Well, I don't mind a poop joke every once in a while, but it's like
there's like only one poop joke of Jar Jar, and that was on Tatooine.
Pretty sure there was another one, but I
mean, there was the fart joke, but I mean, unless the horse actually shit on Jar Jar, then yeah, that's a poop joke. But no, he just farted on him. Sorry,
that's kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I feel like most of him was just kind of falling and being clumsy. And I kind of understand why, because George said that like he was vaudeville and slapstick comedy influenced Jar Jar.
I can definitely see that. Yeah. And to all the viewers listening to this, please don't look. I don't like Jar Jar, but Ahmad Best deserved better than what he got.
I agree.
I think we can all agree on that.
Absolutely.
So did all the other did all the other actors involved in all of these movies.
Honestly, I'm gonna be. It's really funny that you mentioned that. I think first of all, two things. One, Ahmad Best, like say what you want about Jar Jar, he did it incredibly well. Like Ahmad, like if you've seen the behind the scenes, Ahmad in episode 1 at least, Ahmad loved doing Jar Jar, at least in episode 1, because apparently Jar Jar caused him so much trouble that when he went back to voicing for the Clone Wars, he actually kind of left unexpectedly on set, and he had to be replaced by Phil Lamar. But anyway, another thing too is that Qui-Gon, Liam Neeson, he said, "I don't care about the haters. I got to be a Jedi."
Well, I think too, I remember reading somewhere that Liam Neeson agreed to be in the movie without even reading the script.
Legend.
Yeah, just because it was Star Wars, so.
Yeah. Which, hey, look, Hey, look, I mean, if someone offered me a lead role in a Star Wars movie, I probably wouldn't read the script either before accepting it. So I'm not exactly gonna give him any shit for that. I mean, I do think another sort of problem I have with this movie and the next movie is I find a lot of the characters, Qui-Gon included, to be pretty two-dimensional and pretty flat, to be honest.
Why
There's not
like
much.
Qui-Gon?
I mean, Qui-Gon's like the
There's,
experienced Jedi. He knows how everything works. He's
yeah,
essentially
yeah,
Obi-Wan's
and
master. He would have taken up
basically
Anakin had he not got killed.
yeah, well, yeah, and that's basically all there is to his character. That he is the wise. And to be fair, it was sort of the same with Obi-Wan in the originals too.
That's
But
true.
Yeah, but
I
and
actually
then
like seeing Obi-Wan as like what he was like as a Padawan and still young and still kind of full of life a little bit. And I think this goes for the whole trilogy as well, not just Phantom Menace.
well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of the point of calling them prequels, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Ewan McGregor, though, even in this movie, does a good job.
Dude,
'Cause
Ewan
Ewan McGregor's
McGregor is a legend. He was absolutely incredible in that, and just
yeah,
the whole trilogy.
yeah.
Um, also Natalie Portman, I think, did pretty cool. Was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah,
What I found
yeah.
interesting, well, apparently, like as a kid, I missed the fact that Padme Amidala was actually going undercover as like just a random handmaid, even though like the supposed queen in place was actually just an imposter, and it kind of gives this depth to Queen Amidala that she's actually smart. She knows that as a queen she's a big target, so she has to go undercover. And they do this in the second movie too, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Tim, what did you what were some of your favorite characters in Phantom Menace?
I told you Qui-Gon, Jar Jar, and let's see, maybe Queen Amidala, of course, just to name a couple,
Yeah.
I would say.
And oh yeah, yeah. I will admit, the quiet parts in the movie, like where it's kind of slow, I didn't really particularly like those parts compared to like the big action set pieces, and which is weird
Well, I
because
think it's because the slow parts really suffer from that really corny Shakespearean robotic dialogue that
admittedly
is
that
all
is
over
true.
these movies, and it's just like it just comes off as you just look at all the character interaction in this movie, not all of them, but a lot of them. Same thing in episode 2. A lot of the character interactions just feel weird and unnatural. And
See,
it all has to do. A lot of it has to do with how the dialogue is written.
I did like that conversation between Qui-Gon and that flying. What's that flying alien's name? The freaking big nose one. I can't remember. It's not Guido. It's fuck. What is it called?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I actually kind of liked Qui-Gon's. I mean, I know I just criticized the slow moments, but something about Qui-Gon being so calm and collective toward a very smug, like, I'm gonna look up his name real quick. That's gonna bother me for all of eternity. I feel like such a fake fan. Okay, let's see.
Bet you are.
What?
Come on, man! I thought you loved the prequels, man. Come on, you don't remember any of this stuff? You don't remember characters' names?
Now I'm forgetting the memes. What have I done? Oh wait, impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
You already used that one.
Oh shit. No. Star Wars, Flying Merchant, Phantom Menace. All right, what is this? Cause I just again like it's Watto. Watto is his name.
Watto. Okay.
That was so perfectly timed. Once I said Watto, it just sounded like I said like a really forbidden word I should have said. It's like saying Voldemort in the Harry Potter universe. Anyway, Star Wars. I don't know why. I liked Qui-Gon's calm. Like, in fact, here's the thing too. Like in the lightsaber fight between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan, like that scene with like the laser doors. It pretty much shows the extent of how trained they are and what they represent. Whereas Qui-Gon is being patient and putting his lightsaber down, waiting for the doors. Darth Maul is all menacing and evil, ready to strike. Whereas Obi-Wan, as a Padawan, is still impatient and just really scared and nervous. I like those little details. Like the prequel trilogy has a kind of a lot of cool details, which we will get to later. Like how again Yoda pretty much summarizes the entirety of Anakin Skywalker. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. Which, speaking of Yoda, Drew, did you watch the Disney Plus version? Or did you watch the DVD version of it?
I watched it on Disney Plus, so the Disney
Okay,
Plus
because
version.
on DVD, my DVD at least, they keep the puppet Yoda. Yoda's a puppet, but on the Disney Plus version, they CGI him in. What are
I
your
thought the
thoughts on that?
puppet. I thought the puppet Yoda thing was just for the one of the initial trailers. I thought in the original release he was CG.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember because I swear
I don't
on
remember
my
either.
DVD copy he looks like a puppet, but and then like I know in the Disney Plus version they kind of CG'd him.
I mean, they probably should have just kept him a puppet because you know me, I'm a big uh, supporter of practical effects. Although,
Rude.
going off of speaking of practical effects, did you guys know that lightsaber fight with Darth Maul at the end is like one of the few sequences in the film that's almost entirely practical effects? Did you guys know
Well,
that?
yeah. I saw video of them training. I saw Ewan and Ray Park. I remember seeing clips of the back behind the scenes where Ewan and Ray Park are training with like fake sticks. And here's the thing about the lightsaber duels: they put so much work in the training. Like literally, they're actually like you can just see in yourselves. Man, they made so much progress on this. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
like
because I mean, it is supposed to be, you know, because I used to kind of roll my eyes at some of the lightsaber fights in these movies. But what I
really.
will say is that this was like me years ago, I should say. Um, but you know, what I think is that these are supposed to be the Jedi at the height of their power, so it makes sense
Yeah,
that they can do all these flips and kicks and stuff.
yeah.
Sometimes there are some parts in some of these movies where it can get a bit much, but still, it's like it makes
Yeah.
sense.
I mean, I don't really agree with that. I think it's honestly a nice touch because it shows them at their full power.
That was literally what I just said.
Oh shit, yeah. But I don't really I do like the idea of little Anakin like being happy that he's free, but at the same time so scared that he might never see his mom again, and this is a concern for the Jedi Council. And Qui-Gon saying, "No, I will train him. I will show him the way. He is the chosen one." But then once he dies, he's left in the hands of Obi-Wan. I do wish we got to see more of young Anakin and Obi-Wan, but the only thing we're gonna get out of that is like whatever EU stuff is made, and this one. I actually do have a comic book where it was about Obi-Wan Kenobi venturing with young Anakin, like in between episodes 1 and 2. So that was pretty
Okay.
cool. And yes, he says his classic "Hello there" in the
Yeah.
comic. So yeah, I got a little giddy when he said that when I first read it. Anyways, but yeah, I kind of thought it was really interesting. By the way, hot take: Jake Lloyd actually did fine as little Anakin.
That's not a high take. I think. I mean, I don't think it's weird because he is a child actor being directed by George Lucas.
Yeah.
By the way, we're recording this on his 81st birthday. 81st birthday, George Lucas. So
Are we blind to
happy.
birthday wishes? That was Rogue One, but still was a prequel meme.
Rogue One is the best prequel, but
How rude. I'm just kidding. I love Rogue One, but like the fact that you're, we'll get to the third one later. Anyways, I don't really have a lot to say about Phantom Menace. Like, yeah, it's flawed, but it was an overall enjoyable movie. I liked it. I had fun, and I would watch it again.
I will say this though: there are two things in this movie that are introduced in this movie that are kind of big things throughout the prequel trilogy that I really, really, really do not like. There's two things. One, the midichlorians. The reason I don't like that is because it turns the Force from this mystical thing into this knowable, sort of tangible, sort of presence, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it kind of ruins the mysticism of the Force for me. And it's like it's just kind of unneeded to have like midichlorian counts and things like that. It's
I
just
didn't
a
really
bit
care
weird.
for the midichlorians. I didn't care for them.
And number two, this is one that's probably going to cause a little bit of controversy. And Nick, I already told you this. But the whole thing about the Anakin being the chosen one and all that stuff, I think makes Anakin and by extension Luke less relatable as protagonists.
I don't really know how to feel about that
because it's like because Anakin, I guess, is supposed to be Jesus gone bad, and so it's like what I liked about Luke in the original trilogy is that he's an everyman from a very humble background, but it's like with Anakin, it's like it's kind of the same thing because he comes from the same planet. He comes from, he's a slave child and all that. And so it's like they want to have him come from a small background, but at the same time, it's like, oh, let's have him be the Star Wars equivalent of Jesus Christ, and it's just.
I mean, he never really came
I don't like that. I don't think
Jesus.
I don't think it's necessary, frankly. Like, I don't know. I just don't like it. It just makes him less relatable to me because like he clearly has
I don't think
more
Anakin was
power than
supposed to be
everybody
relatable.
else.
And I don't know how to feel about that because I feel like Anakin's the most emotional character throughout the whole saga, like because like the whole Jedi Order is saying no, you can't let your emotions get to you. You have to be stoic and strong. You have to think with reason and logic and think for the greater good. Whereas Anakin, he was too young to be indoctrinated into. No, he was too old to be indoctrinated into the Jedi Order. So him being told all these things and having gone through the most tumultuous slavery in his life, not the most tumultuous. I mean, the Tusken Raiders did worse, but we'll get to that. Like the fact that like he's been a slave all his life. He clearly thinks better things will come, but eventually, like several people, except for maybe Palpatine and Padme and sometimes a little bit of Obi-Wan keep pushing him down. And I think
I think he's supposed to be somewhat relatable because I think the whole point of this trilogy. I know I'm talking broad strokes here, but I think the whole point of this trilogy is it to be a tragic tale of a good guy gone bad.
Yeah, like
and so
sorry.
And so it's like, and so I think that's why it's like they try to make him relatable to an extent, coming from a humble background, much like Luke did, to set him up as kind of like this good guy who will eventually go bad.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be very heartbreaking, right? When you get to Revenge of the Sith.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So.
I mean, here's the thing.
I just think them making him the chosen one is just unnecessary.
That's fair, but again, I said this before. I'll say it again. A good character doesn't have to be relatable. They have to be interesting to watch.
And I don't find him interesting in episode 1 or 2.
I disagree.
3 he gets better.
I disagree in episode 1, but episode 2 we'll get to in a moment. But first, the conclusions, because I don't have much else to say about Phantom Menace. I like Phantom Menace. I thought it was a fun movie. Is it flawed? Yes. But is it too overhated? Absolutely. I thought it was a fun movie. It was neat. That's all I got. Drew?
I still think it's kind of boring. Boring with some cool moments. I will say I like the spaceship battle at the end too. The space battle at the end with the Trade Federation ship. And I guess we might have to talk about the P word in this episode.
The P word? Piss?
Politics. Since that's what this whole trilogy is about.
Oh yeah, the politics. So, wait, real quick. While we're waiting for Tim to come back, I just want to say, out of all the Star Wars movies, I think George Lucas made this the most kid-oriented one because yeah, you had like the separatist like politics thing, but and like you had characters like Jar Jar and like all the Gungans and like a lot of the alien creatures. Like it was clearly supposed to be more adventurous. And yeah, you had that scene where they're in the Senate and Palpatine wins apparently, but like I feel like as a kid you understand like, oh yeah, with Naboo being surrounded, clearly the bad guys are doing bad things, especially going as far as to like, trade hold them hostage and kill people. Because the whole plot of Phantom Menace is trying to save Naboo.
Yeah, from the Trade Federation, which I think is kind of lame, frankly. The Trade Federation.
I didn't think it was boring as a kid. Like I just knew that. Oh shit, the these guys, Naboo's being terrorized. The Jedi got to save him. And oh hey, there's Anakin. I sure hope he doesn't turn evil. Hint hint. Yeah.
I mean, the reason I brought the word politics up just because a lot of the plot revolves around trade disputes and tariffs and things like that. So, I know.
Bravo, Lucas. Anyways, Tim,
But
do you have any
yeah,
final thoughts on Phantom Menace, or is there more stuff you want to expand on? Tim?
Tim.
Ah, shit, he's frozen. Tim?
Sorry, the app just bugged out on me. So what was going on?
Always
Do you
on
have
the
any
move.
final?
Anyways,
Do you have any
Tim, do you have any final thoughts
Phantom
on
Menace?
Phantom Menace, or do you wanna expand on anything else real quick?
I'd say it's the best of all of them, no doubt.
Ooh, like all the prequels or all the movies?
Of pretty, I would dare say the entire. Well, it's not Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back, but it's the best of the whole trilogy. So.
Ooh, that is really interesting. I mean, why? I mean, before we get into some, I want you to expand. I want you to elaborate on this. Why is Phantom Menace the best out of the entire prequel trilogy? I want to hear.
I would
this.
just
Sounds so cool.
Humble beginnings, humble beginnings. All the interesting characters. It didn't. It was just more out of an innocent kind of stories. So something more lighthearted for certain. So I would say
it's definitely. It's definitely a very lighthearted movie because, as I mentioned, while you were gone, I told Drew that this was definitely a very kid-oriented movie, like with like Jar Jar, all the alien creatures like on Tatooine, and the fact it was there was definitely a lot of focus on young Anakin and young Padme. But I could definitely see where it's coming from. It's like sometimes it's kind of nice to see a band tune up before they go on stage.
I will say though, I have actually heard people say that Phantom Menace is the best prequel.
No
I've heard
way.
that a handful of times. I've heard that a handful of times, so it's not
no
super.
Well, can you blame them?
Hey! My favorite, one of my favorite film critics on YouTube is Patrick H. Willems, and he said that Phantom Menace is quote the most watchable prequel. So.
That's interesting. Like, that's crazy, but yeah.
So I've heard that take before. That's my point. I've heard that.
I didn't know that. I thought. I mean, it was a coin toss. If for me, it was a coin toss if people even liked Phantom Menace. Which Phantom Menace is actually. I mean, maybe it's because the people I hang out with. People actually kind of like Phantom Menace now, which I'm pretty thankful for because, not gonna lie, I thought it was pretty mean when people made fun of Phantom Menace in the prequels. But everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But you're right, Master. The negotiations were short, except they weren't. Anyways, are we ready for Attack of the Clones? Always on the move.
Attack of the Clones is, I think, the worst Star Wars movie by a country mile. I think.
Yeah, I'll bet. So.
I disagree with that. Now, is Attack of the Clones a good movie? It's like a 2.5 out of 5 for me. Like, it's very flawed, but there are moments I really like from Attack of the Clones. Like, I'm going to get my positives of Attack of the Clones out of the way. I love the Obi-Wan subplot. The Obi-Wan subplot is really cool, and I love the Battle of Geonosis. I think the finale is one of the things, like the Obi-Wan subplot in the finale saved this movie from being absolute shit. If depending on what mood you catch me in, I might call it bad, but not shit. Like, I like Attack of the Clones. It's flawed to the brim. I think it deserves all the criticism, but I think the Battle of Geonosis and the Obi-Wan subplot deserve its long overdues.
I mean, I don't mind the Battle of Geonosis. I actually like the look and the art style of Geonosis. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like it's
I
not
guess
deserty. It's all sorry.
Since I really don't like this movie, I'm gonna start off with some of the things I do like about this movie, just so I'm not fucking hating on it the whole time we're talking about it. But yeah, I think a lot of the art style of not only Geonosis, but also places like Camino, like I think is really cool. Like I think Camino is
the
really
water
cool.
planet, yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind the Obi-Wan subplot. I mean, it's not something I'm gonna watch Attack of the Clones for, but it's like, I'm not gonna turn on Attack of the Clones just to watch the Obi-Wan subplot. I mean, I think it's fine. It's serviceable.
Okay.
But it's still, I mean, I think Also, again, this is kind of an easy cop out answer, but John Williams' score is amazing here again, as
Oh,
it
John
usually is.
Williams. Yeah.
The best part about the Anakin and Padme scenes is the track Across the Stars, their theme.
Oh
It's
yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, I forgot
It's really
about
cool.
that theme.
Yeah. It's
I'm gonna
it's
be
it's
honest.
it's so sad that that great piece of music is associated with one of the most boring romance plots I've ever seen in
Yeah,
any movie ever.
I didn't really like the romance plots, but I feel like it's one of those things you have to swallow because it is an essential part of the story of Anakin Skywalker. Like I feel like how Anakin is actually he's shown that he doesn't like the current state of the political system in the Star Wars universe. You know, I don't think the system works. Okay, technically that's a prequel meme, but you know, you let it slide for this one. Let it slide.
Okay,
Where he
look.
says like, I don't think the
But
system works.
with this whole thing with Anakin and Padme, I don't think it's the idea that's the problem. It's the execution of the idea that's the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, I
The
agree.
the
Like
the
it's so heavily
do
based on. Sorry.
the dialogue is awful and cringy. I mean, who the hell talks to their girlfriend about how much they hate sand?
I don't like
Like,
sand. It's coarse, rough, irritating, and it gets everywhere.
and like the way Anakin tends to just look at Padme in certain scenes, I'm like, and this is one of the other things I don't like about Attack of the Clones is I remember in the Phantom Menace when Anakin, I mean, he was a little kid obviously, but he was very optimistic, very, very like wanted to help other people and stuff.
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones muddies that by basically making him a serial killer in waiting, because it's like the way he looks at Padme, the way he interacts with her, the way he slaughters a whole village of Tusken Raiders just
Well,
because a couple of them killed his mom.
well, yeah, his mom meant a lot to him. That was like the
Yeah,
one
yeah.
thing he was afraid of leaving. And when he actually does leave, she dies, and he's so frustrated and full of emotions, and like it gets even sadder in the next movie when they tell him, no, shut your emotions down, let go. Like he doesn't know how to properly deal with these emotions, and then like he admits to killing them, but afterwards like he starts crying. He genuinely like it didn't bring him any peace. It didn't bring him any peace, and I think this is great foreshadowing to Darth Vader. Am I defending this scene? Slightly, but am I saying is it deserving criticism? Oh, absolutely, because again, the dialogue between Anakin and Padme is not good, but
And
again,
it's not.
you can see these nuggets where they wanted to build on something, but it's buried in.
It does not come together.
Yeah, it doesn't come
And
together. Bro. Like
and
I
speaking
actually
of
I like
and
and I also like the part where he screams like it's where he's been told he's the chosen one, but he keeps getting pushed down, and he kind of screams like they don't want me to do good. They're holding me back. They're jealous. Like again, this is the confliction of Anakin Skywalker. He doesn't know how to deal with proper emotions. He's always been told, don't let him get to you. I mean, the entire prequel trilogy can send up with one quote from Revenge of the Sith. Calm down, Anakin.
yeah, fair.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
But
I was gonna say I was gonna. Oh yeah. So apart from Anakin and Padme, a lot of the other characters in this movie kind of suffer from the same problem, and as in the first one. It's like I find these characters, a lot of them, to be pretty flat and uninteresting. I mean, you get somebody like Windu, who barely does anything until the Battle of Geonosis. It's like, and I'm trying to remember.
It was a little disappointing that
Jango Fett is like an even more boring version of Boba Fett with slightly cooler armor.
I'm gonna be honest, Jango Fett I feel like was a little underbuilt. Like like he was it was cool to see him. It was cool to see him in action for a little bit, but he was just like they could have done more of Jango. They definitely could have done more of Jango. That being said, the space fight was pretty cool. And
which space fight?
the part where Obi-Wan's chasing Jango.
Oh, in the asteroid field, an asteroid belt.
Yeah, where he unleashes that supersonic bomb. That was kind of neat.
Yeah, it was okay.
And, another scene that I fairly mentioned: the chase when they're trying to chase the assassin. They were trying to chase the assassin, in the
Oh, the
beginning
one
of
on
Attack of the Clones.
yeah, that scene on Coruscant.
Yeah, and I love we get to see a little bit of chemistry between Anakin and Obi-Wan, where Anakin, he's this rebellious person. He plays by his own rules, and such as the part where he takes a shortcut and Obi-Wan's like, "Well, nice job, Anakin. We completely lost him." Anakin jumps from the speeder. He's just like, I hate it when he does that." And there's like sprinkled bits of like you can tell these guys have had a history, and that they even mentioned this in another moment in Revenge of the Sith. And what was that? What else was I gonna say? But yeah, just also the part where Anakin. Okay, this is kind of a weird problem for his lightsaber gets destroyed in the droid factory, and he's like, "Oh man, not again! Obi-Wan's gonna kill me." I'm sorry, that's like probably the best line.
Also, outside of being played by Christopher Lee, I don't particularly care for Count Dooku either.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I like Count Dooku.
Count Dooku's cool.
Yeah, I actually like him. So
I like his
Would've been nice.
personality.
Yep, and
What personality?
He's menacing. He has a superior. He has like this fancy like, you know, don't fuck with me, otherwise I will unleash you. Like the way he fucking talks.
Yeah. Again, he's played by Christopher Lee, so that gets him a slight step up, I guess.
Yeah. Not to mention. Yeah, not to mention like how in every situation he seems to be calm and collected, even though he's like a Sith. He's a Sith. I don't want. Is he a Sith Lord or is he just a? I know he's technically just
because he's Count Dooku, I believe, is Sidious's new apprentice after Darth Maul.
Yeah. It's funny how Sidious keeps going through apprentices. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Anyways, so another thing about the visuals. I actually really like the Yoda fight between Count Dooku and Yoda. I thought that was really cool because like holy shit, we actually get to see Yoda in action.
Am I the only one here that thinks seeing Yoda do flips with a little green laser sword? Reference to a YouTube video, sorry.
Is it the fucking Red Letter Media video?
No. Do you know who Hello Greedo is?
No.
Never mind then. So I can't be the only one that thinks seeing Yoda do flipping around with his little green lightsaber. I kind of think that's a bit ridiculous because in the original trilogy, I always thought of Yoda as like this wise sort of like monk type figure. And to see him like flipping around with a little lightsaber and everything, fighting guys who are like way bigger than him, it's like I feel like Yoda is one of those characters that could probably just blink and throw you across the room or something. You know, one of those kind of characters.
I like how it gives him more life. It gives him more life, and throughout this, I think the prequel trilogy, like, yeah, Yoda still has like his sense of sarcasm, like when he kind of pokes fun at Obi-Wan for losing a planet. Lost a planet, Obi-Wan has, and truly wonderful the mind of a child is. Like, here's the thing, like I said before, Attack of the Clones has so many good moments, but it's just they're not connected very good. Like, I like seeing Yoda like train the younglings, you know, before.
That was cool.
Yeah. And then when Obi-Wan, because we get to see like that Jedi training before like they ever established in the Clone Wars show, which we're not going to talk about today, sad as that might be. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, truly wonderful the mind of a child is. Anyways, that came out wrong. That could either be read as a Star Wars reference to Yoda. What Yoda voice I should have had onto this. I should have. Or Sundowner from Metal Gear Rising: Revenge. But anyways, so one of the reasons I don't like this movie in particularly is that I think as much I love this, I will defend the CG in the prequels, but Attack of the Clones kind of shits the bed in several moments in terms of visual effects. There's the explosion that kills the fake Amidala imposter. After I was like, guess I was wrong. There was no danger. Prequel meme. And then, like, you know, it explodes, and you can just see, like, one guy is clearly CGI, and the explosion itself just doesn't look that good. And then there's, like, compared to the rest of the explosions done in in the prequel trilogy, And then there's like a scene after like Anakin and Padme have that little talk about the political system, him going, I don't think the system works. And then like he surfs on like a freaking like warthog pig. Like that shit, like I
That is
know that's
ridiculous.
fake, but again, the CGI shits itself on that moment right there.
So here's something I was thinking about today while we were watching Attack of the Clones. And Nick, I want to hear see if get a response from both of you from this.
Let's hear it.
So here's the thing: I generally don't like to complain about decisions that characters make in movies, just because it can be kind of nitpicky sometimes. But I'm gonna ask you guys this: why would the Jedi Council willingly, Padme seems to be an important senator, right, in this universe? Why would they why would they choose to send a reckless Padawan as her bodyguard over a fully experienced Jedi Knight? Over a fully trained Jedi Knight?
I don't know. I think it's because Padme trusts Anakin more than the other Jedis. I mean, she's shown to be very hesitant around other characters, especially Palpatine, and even I think at one moment she is very hesitant around other Jedi counselors, does she choose Padme? No, does Padme choose Anakin? I don't remember. I think so.
No, it was the Jedi Council initially sends both Obi-Wan and Anakin, but then they were like, "Hey, no, Obi-Wan, you go track down the bounty hunter who was trying to kill her, and then we'll leave her with Anakin."
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, that does make. I think that does kind of make sense. But I feel like there is a reason for that, and that's because Padme trusts Anakin more than anyone on the Jedi Council.
I mean, and isn't it established that Anakin and Padme hadn't seen each other in like 10 years prior to this?
Yeah. I mean, Annie, look how you've grown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think that was a bit of an odd decision on their part, on the Jedi Council's part. But I think it kind of plays into the theme a little bit of the Jedi Council kind of clinging to their ways, and that kind of eventually leads to their downfall in the end.
Yeah. Tim, what do you make of all this?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, I did like the actual wars that was going on. Everybody shooting each other and fighting each other at the end. It was just that, especially with 3PO, of course.
Oh yeah, C-3PO. I forgot. Like that seems freaking funny.
Yeah, with his head on the backwards droid.
Yes.
Backwards on the droid.
I love the Val Geonosis. I didn't like the factory scene. For some reason. The rest of it was really cool.
Do you know what's funny? I heard somewhere that the factory scene was they came up with the factory scene, I guess while George Lucas was driving the set one day, and I was like, "Yeah, this is a cool sequence." I could be wrong about that, but I remember hearing that somewhere.
Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, here's something that I should have disclosed to you guys at the beginning. As somebody who doesn't particularly like the prequels, especially episodes 1 and 2, I'm kind of in this position where it's like the stuff that I complain about is the same stuff that other people have complained about for 20 years, and I'm assuming you've heard it all by now. So it's like, and I'm assuming that a lot of the people listening to this have heard it all by now. So
you're not mean about it. You're not mean about it.
Well, yeah, I try not to be mean about it, but you know. I mean, it's just weird for me because it's like, even as somebody from this generation who was introduced to Star Wars to an extent through the prequels, it's like I still preferred the original trilogy when I was a kid. I was kind of one of those kids, you know.
I've known plenty of people like that, honestly, but I still hold fondness for the prequel trilogy, for the prequels.
So I guess on that note, is there anything else you guys want to talk about Attack of the Clones before we get to the best of the trilogy, in my opinion?
Yeah, my final conclusion, Attack of the Clones, is I just say it's overall decent. It's not it's not like Phantom Menace where I think the good outweighs the bad to elevate to the status of a good product, not a great product, a good product. But Attack of the Clones is a film I can best describe as it has its moments. That's all I got.
I think it is bad.
Yeah. Tim, what are your final thoughts on Attack of the Clones?
I'd say it was pretty decent. You know, just like I said, Mace Windu was badass. The whole war, the whole conflict at the end, it was just badass to look at. All the fight scenes and everything. It was just awesome, and of course Count Dooku, and I was just kind of shocked that we never saw Asajj Ventress in it. It's like, what the heck?
She was a Clone Wars exclusive character.
Yeah, she was a truce in the Clone Wars, wasn't she?
Yeah. Your clones are very impressive. You must feel very proud.
Yeah.
I will say though, the idea of a clone army is actually kind of cool. I'll be honest. Yeah. That's kind of a cool idea.
With 1 million more well on the way. Yep. All right. Now, are you ready to get to my personal favorite Star Wars movie?
Mine as well.
Revenge of the Sith. This is where the real fun begins. I already used it before at the beginning of this podcast, but let's make another happy landing into the subject, shall we? So,
man, you just had to do that. You just had to do that. Okay, dear viewers, I will say this: Revenge of the Sith is, of all the movies in this trilogy, it's the one movie I would say, you know what? It's a good movie.
I love this movie.
And no, I'm not just saying that because I'm nostalgic for it and it's the first Star Wars movie I ever saw in theaters. I mean, I saw it in theaters again recently when it was re-released. Okay. It's still good. There's some problems in it that I have, but and some of them are kind of carry over from the previous two, but I still think it's a good movie.
I freaking love Revenge of the Sith. I absolutely love it. It's like the ultimate conclusion to Anakin Skywalker before he becomes Darth Vader, and everything from the last two films were completely. It just shows. All right, these films are necessary. Here's why. It is just so amazing. I love the fights are great. I think the character moments are stronger in this one than they are in the other two prequel films. I love Revenge of the Sith. You are strong and wise, Anakin, and I am very proud of you. All right.
Really?
Yes.
Can you go 5 minutes without making a prequel meme reference?
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's. Oh my god!
You underestimate my power.
You know what? I will say this. With that, I don't think so. That I don't think so line. I don't know what this is. Really a nitpick for me. Are you listening?
Yes,
Nick.
Yeah, I am.
Did you notice how that shot is weirdly off center?
A little bit.
It is actually I don't think so line. It's very off center and it's very noticeable.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, that is a little. That's a lot, but I do like how that shot, like the General Grievous line was like, "Army or not, you must realize you are doomed." Like it's focused on his eyes, and then when it comes to Obi-Wan going, "I don't think so," it's also focused on. It's like it's like that whole interaction. First, I'm gonna fucking trail off and say I love the interaction between Obi-Wan and General Grievous because like Grievous, he's all menacing and evil and looks like he can kill anyone at any moment now, but Obi-Wan just like, nah, I'd win.
I'll be honest. I kind of think. I'll be honest. I think General Grievous, is somewhat of a lame villain. To be honest, I never cared for him. To be honest, I will say this. I mean, I think the idea for his character is neat. Somebody who collects Jedi lightsabers and stuff. That's kind of cool. I just kind of because it's one of those characters that they introduced in the Clone Wars and then brought to the movies. And it's like if you didn't see the original Clone Wars cartoon, you saw Revenge of the Sith in theaters when it came out, you probably have no idea who this guy was. Like, who is this guy? What's his goals? What is his connection to the Separatists? You know.
Before we get to General Grievous, I just want to apologize to Tim and say we forgot to give his general thoughts on. Hang on, how'd this happen? We're smarter than this.
Yeah.
So Jim, it's Tim. Fuck Tim. I called you Jim by accident. Tim. What are your general thoughts on Revenge of the Sith?
Well, I definitely took interest in General Grievous. I wonder if so. So, do you guys know what his story? I mean, I know I've seen him in the Clone Wars, but so what's his story?
I think he's a droid, or I think who was like, I could be wrong about this, but I think he was once like a living person.
Yeah, he was once a
But
living person.
he's a droid who he's a Jedi hunter, and he collects the lightsabers of the dead Jedi that he's killed.
They make a fine addition to his collection.
You know, which I've heard is said. I'm not entirely sure I agree with this, but I've heard from some people that General Grievous, with all of his lightsaber swinging and all the lightsaber swinging that happens throughout the course of these movies, uh, kind of makes lightsabers boring in their eyes because there's just so many lightsaber fights, and it just kind of. I'm not sure I agree with this, but this is just what I've heard from other people.
I don't
Like I see their point. I'm not entirely sure I agree. I mean, I do think a couple of the fights at the end of this movie do drag on a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. Like the Anakin and Obi-Wan fight. Like once they look like characters in a character select screen in a video game, you know, when they're on the lava in these little floating pods.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about, right? Mustafar, yeah.
Mustafar was amazing. I love Mustafar was really cool. And I feel like, oh shit, everybody just froze.
And it's like
everybody just froze for 1 second. You included, Drew.
Am I frozen still?
No, you're good now. You're good now. Like, just all of you literally just froze. I'm like, oh shit.
Well, anyways, my point is, it gets a little ridiculous at the end of the fight, but I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love Revenge of the Sith, like I didn't like how, like, I get why they did it, but I didn't like how the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight kept intercutting between Yoda and Sidious, but at the same time, I feel like that. No, I was gonna get to that. Like, the more I speak about it, it's more like, okay, I'm actually wrong here. That's actually good because it symbolizes, is this really the end of the Sith? Oh no, it's not, because, you know, there's another trilogy after this, but
yeah,
no, that actually makes sense, Drew. You have a point. That is actually a good decision because, again, it's Yoda and Anakin, Yoda and Obi-Wan doing their job to end the Sith, but ultimately failing. And whereas Yoda failed, Obi-Wan could have succeeded, but he made the mistake of assuming Anakin died in the lava.
And to be fair, most people would probably think someone's dead after being burned alive like that.
That is true.
I mean, he really should have. I mean, he really should have died. If the flames didn't kill him, I'm sure the fucking oxygen from not the oxygen, but the smoke from the flames probably would have.
Yeah. Anakin's just too angry to die, especially with his love and the life dying.
Yeah, and
which hadn't happened at that point yet, by the way.
Yeah. Anyways, what are you saying, Tim?
So when Palpatine had him converted to a Darth Vader, didn't he like intentionally have Anakin undergo the surgery painfully, like without any anesthesia? Did he just didn't you hear Anakin screaming as like?
Yeah, I think it's because he was still in pain from like the fact his skin's been exposed, and they're connecting like his legs to like the nerves or whatever. Like, yeah, he definitely didn't have anesthesia, and he was also probably screaming not just from the pain of the surgery, but the fact that he could sense Padme in pain giving childbirth. And I'm gonna be honest, I do think it's a little dumb how Padme supposedly dies from a broken heart, but I like the theory that Anakin. I do like the theory that Anakin probably tried to save her via the Force, but couldn't. Or my personal favorite theory is they fucked up the delivery, killing Padme, and the droid just told the first lie, and the Jedi bought it.
I was gonna say, because I know there's theories that maybe Palpatine did it through the Force. I don't really buy that, but
yeah, I like the idea I like the idea that Anakin was saying, Padme, please live, and unfortunately somehow also ended up killing Padme. Because I feel like, again, I'm not to nitpick, but I feel like, listen, when a mother dies in childbirth, it's usually after the baby is delivered, right?
Yeah.
So that has to be the most delayed death by childbirth, accompanied by getting choked to death by Anakin.
Well, she didn't die from getting choked to death by Anakin, but Um,
But with,
I will
with the
say, I
droid
will,
saying
I will
losing the
say
will to
though,
live, I think it
I will
adds to
say
that
though,
theory. Sorry.
I will say though, I think one of the best uses of parallel editing, I think, in the Star Wars movies, is the scene where they intercut the birth of Luke and Leia with the birth of Darth Vader. Like, I
Oh,
think
absolutely,
that's
yeah.
really awesome choice that they made.
Yeah, but you know what I think is really cool about the birth of Darth Vader? Like before, like the helmet mask gets put on completely, like you can see the last moment of Anakin's face is one of sadness and pain.
You could also, this is a neat bit of sound design too, but once the mask comes on, you can hear his heartbeat stop for a few
Oh.
seconds. And then it only begins again once you hear the Darth Vader breathing. That's a very cool use of sound design to kind of, this is the death of Anakin Skywalker and the birth
Oh
of
yeah,
Darth Vader.
and
Because even
more.
because even in universe, they're sort of two different people
Oh
in
yeah,
a way.
absolutely. Um, what's even really cool too is that I don't know if you noticed this, Drew, on any of your rewatches, but when Darth after the helmet gets put on, like you hear the classic Darth Vader breathing, and once he does the, you can see the smoke just kind of blow away from his mouth.
Yeah,
Did you notice
yeah.
that?
Yeah,
Tim,
I
did
know
you
that.
notice
100%.
that when you watch Revenge
Yeah.
of the Sith?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is such a cool detail. And another, and then of course like him saying, "Where is Padme? Is she safe? Is she all right?" And then of course, you know, Palpatine saying, "No, in your anger, you killed her." And I feel like that's just the Darth. I know people like the Darth Vader no because it's just like, oh, meme or whatever. But I'm sorry. I think that's like the last bit of emotion Anakin ever portrayed as Darth Vader, because now he's got nothing to lose. He lost the love of his life, and now he's gonna make it. Now he's gonna make it the whole universe's problem.
Yeah, didn't Palpatine sadistically smile as Anakin despaired upon hearing that?
Yeah,
Honestly, I
because
didn't. I
yeah,
missed
he
that.
did. Because it's then Palpatine realized that he has full control over Darth Vader now. He's his
Yeah.
slave now.
Yeah, like he lost everything.
Yeah.
Everyone he loved.
How did Palpatine actually know that Padme died? So did he actually know, or what?
Probably not.
What makes you
Probably not.
what? How do you know that? So Palpatine
Just
didn't actually know that she died. Then what was the purpose of him bringing that up and stuff?
Anakin,
take control of Anakin.
Anakin brought that up. Palpatine
Yeah,
didn't.
Anakin.
He as Darth Vader, he turned over to Palpatine and was like, "Is Padme safe? Is she all right?"
And so Palpatine lied. So
Yeah.
Basically, but oh yes, he absolutely did lie.
so
Yes,
wait,
but in a way, but
Padme's
in a way,
dead
he was
anyway,
actually.
so he's telling the
Okay,
truth.
sorry, you first,
Isn't
Tim.
he? But Padme is already dead, so that means he's technically telling the truth. So
Yeah.
right?
Well, he's lying in the sense that Anakin killed her. Anakin did not kill her. She died in childbirth.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. How did Anakin just believe that? You know, how could he just believe that he was responsible when he clearly wasn't?
Well, because he literally force choked Padme, Tim. He literally force choked Padme. And when your last memory of your loved one is them falling to the ground, you probably think to yourself after waking up, "Oh shit, I really did kill Padme. Why would I do this?"
And also, Palpatine is his master. So there's that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry if I sounded a little aggressive there, but I feel like before, it's funny. We're talking about this movie in reverse order too, because
I just found it.
Sorry, you first.
I just found it a little strange that that Palpatine did not give anesthesia to Anakin when he was being converted to Darth Vader, like as if he wanted Anakin to feel as much pain as possible before his transformation. Is that right?
Well, it's probably did because in the Star Wars universe, it's established that pain actually makes a dark side user more powerful in the dark side.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
That's probably why.
Mm-hmm. But
That's why
like
Darth. I know I'm getting a bit more into the expanded universe here, but there's a reason why Darth Vader sort of spends a lot of his early time as Darth Vader in the Star Wars universe being depressed over Padme's death, and that's what gives him his immense power in the dark side. Up until
I feel
that's sort of what gives him the loss of his family is what gives him all that power in the dark side and his hatred and all that up until 20 years later when he finds out that he had a son. So
yeah, but sorry, I keep wanting to say we've talked about the ending so much. I feel like there's so much other things we're not talking about. Like I know we touched upon Grievous.
Dude, I know this is getting a bit of the ending too, but it's like I really want it. One of the best scenes in the whole prequel trilogy, and I think some of the best directing that George Lucas has ever done, is the Order 66 scene.
Oh yes, the Order 66 scene.
Oh yeah,
dude, that shit is so tight. Like really, like
I
love how before it begins, you see Obi-Wan and Cody having a moment. You know, there's like, hey, we got your back, man. And then Obi-Wan's just so happy and enthusiastic to see Cody still not only giving his life to it, but knowing that he can trust him before going, yeah, let's kill this guy.
What's right after Obi-Wan leaves that he sees the hologram of Palpatine going execute Order 66.
Yeah. You know what's funny in the novelization, Cody actually thinks after he's been given that command in the Revenge of the Sith novel, Cody actually says that Cody thinks to himself, I should have never given him his lightsaber.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to get off topic because we're going to talk the Clone Wars, but Rex from the Clone Wars actually tried to fight off the Order and before his like programming took over, because it's canon in the Star Wars universe that Order 66 is a program. But like he tells Ahsoka, take me to the surgeon and remove my chip. So yeah, like it's actually interesting how Cody just instantly turns, whereas Rex actually tries fighting it.
But, what I think what makes the Order 66 scene so effective outside of John Williams' score, of course, which is in this movie, which in this movie is it's arguably one of the best soundtracks John Williams has ever done, which is saying a lot considering the other soundtracks he's ever done, even his non-Star Wars stuff. But regardless, what I think is great about the Order 66 scene is the way it's shot, specifically the way the camera moves in some of the shots to where it pans down to the boots of the clone troopers as they stop following the Jedi, and then it cuts to one of the Jedi, forget the guy's name, the guy with the big head, and he turns around in confusion, and then right before he sort of realizes what's going on is when the clones start shooting him and he's overwhelmed by the blaster bolts.
Like, and not to mention, I feel like Order 66 is okay. It's not the darkest moment, but it's like this is truly the death of the Republic. This is the death of the Jedi. All these valiant heroes have been betrayed and backstabbed, except for Anakin, and just.
Well, Anakin is the one doing the betraying and
So
backstabbing.
freaking cool! I'm sorry.
I mean, Anakin is the one doing the betraying and backstabbing.
I know, like. Hot take. I think the prequel trilogy soundtrack is the best out of all the Star Wars movies.
No, I mean, that's not exactly a hot take.
like you got Battle of the Heroes. You got the freaking beginning song that plays in Revenge of the Sith. You got Anakin's betrayal. You got freaking Duel of Fates. Battle of the Heroes, by the way, is completely different from Duel of Fates. I just want to get that clear, okay?
It is, yeah. You don't need to tell me that.
You'll be surprised how many people get that mixed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Order, like, you get to see, and what's even more, here's the thing, like, I even if you've watched, even with the Clone Wars added context, like, Plo Koon's death is probably the saddest in Order 66, because in episode 2 of season 1 of the Clone Wars TV show, the CGI one, Plo Koon actually cares, I'm saying Kloon, and I'm not saying a slur here, okay? That's actually his name, Plo Koon.
Okay.
But Plo Koon, so, and for context, they're stranded out in space, and the clones think that no one's going to save them, and Plo Koon says, why do you think we're not going to be saved? And the clones say, we're just clones, sir, we're meant to be expandable. But Plo Koon says, not to me. Like, he genuinely cares for the clone troopers, so to see him just gun him down in his own ship is just, this man actually cared for the clones.
Yeah.
Oh, you watched Clone Wars, right, Nick?
Just the CGI one.
Oh well, you've heard of Pong Krell, right?
Yeah. I don't know if that's a topic for another day, but I feel like that is somewhat foreshadowing Order 66, except the clones did not betray the Jedi. They only betrayed Pong Krell because Pong Krell was being a mean and cruel leader and ended up setting up another clone squad against one another. But I feel like that. And here's the thing: they killed Pong Krell.
Didn't he say he can't stand clones and wants them dead or something?
Yeah, he does. And believe it or not, I think there's an argument to be made that Pong Krell from the Clone Wars may be the most hated character in all of Star Wars history. More so than any of the sequel characters, more so than the prequel characters.
I've never watched the Clone Wars, but I have literally never heard of this character.
Everyone hates him. Everyone, like, if there's one thing to unite all the Star Wars fans together, it's that George Lucas is amazing and that Pong Krell freaking sucks. All my homies hate Pong Krell.
Why? Why is it? Because he's a lousy character, or is he genuinely unlikable? Like
both.
Oh.
Like
so what
like,
is
again? Like there's a line where like Rex, one of the clones of Rex's squad say, "Man, General Skywalker's plans were crazy, but not this insane," because it's implied that. I'm sorry, we're getting off topic, but it. Let's break away from Pong Krell. Fuck Pong Krell. All my homies hate Pong Krell, but you can see Anakin's rebelliousness still in this movie as well. Like the beginning, which is actually getting a lot more credit nowadays than it was back when it was first released. The beginning, the opening shot of the Clone Wars, where you see like that massive Republic ship, and then you see like Anakin and Obi-Wan's like ships. They're like flying together in unison. And you know which side is which, and of course, Anakin being the best star pilot in the galaxy, and then just that scene is amazing, and of course, like, and not just the space battle, but once they get into the separatist battle station, like they pop out and. They fight. As they fight the droids, they get closer to each other to ensure one another's protected. And then of course, in the elevator when it's malfunctioning, Anakin just goes on his own thing, and Obi-Wan goes always on the move. You can still see that rebelliousness in Anakin, and like it's actually shown that Obi-Wan and Anakin. I know in Episode 2 that it's implied they've had other adventures. Like not only do you get that feeling for their actions, but the dialogue, for as clunky as it is. They even talk about their times together, besides this is the 10th time I've saved your ass, 9th time, Anakin. Like you get the feel like when they're not like bickering about like Anakin panicking and not knowing about the Planakin. Like you get those moments where Anakin and Obi-Wan are just complete bros, and I love those.
And that's what I think the previous two were kind of lacking, that banter between the characters that made.
It was in Episode 2. It was in Episode 2 actually, specifically the beginning.
I mean, wasn't there a lot? It was there when they were in the elevator a little bit.
Yeah. And of course Geonosis, where it's like, we're rescuing you. Well, I see it's going really freaking well. And of course, there's also banter between Padme and Anakin as well, and Attack of the Clones. But Revenge of the Sith, like I said, and just of course, of course, the fight where Anakin, like, he's trying to get his feelings together because now he feels conflicted because Palpatine's saying, Anakin, you're doing well, whereas the Jedi Council is saying, no, Anakin, you need to slow down. This is, I think, a conclusion to Anakin's confliction between the Jedi, and when he learns that Palpatine's a Sith Lord. He's hesitant on killing him because this is the only person that was ever nice to him.
Dude, like, say if this one person who's been nice to you your entire, your entire life, and everybody else has rejected you, I'm sure that you would swear loyalty to that guy, no matter his intentions, because would you do that despite his evil plans and demeanor? I bet you'd be 1,000% loyal, because he was only been nice to you, and everyone else, doesn't even want you or like you. What do you think of that?
I mean, again, it's very tough. This is very conflicting. I mean, this is gonna sound like a very stupid comparison, but hear me out.
Yeah.
Man of Steel, mediocre movie, but it's just like that scene where Superman's trying to stop Zod from lasering these innocent civilians. He doesn't want to kill, but he kills Zod anyway, and that of course makes him upset. Okay, this sounded better in my head, but Anakin, at the same time, Anakin thinks he's doing good by serving the Jedi, but at the same time, is is gonna die according to his visions. All the Jedi tell him like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Well, he can't even really give the Jedi the full extent of his visions because they can't have any attachment.
Yeah, exactly. That too. Like Anakin was already betraying the Jedi, something he swore loyalty to. In fact, in a deleted scene, Obi-Wan says to Padme, "I knew about you and Anakin's relationship. I just didn't want to ruin it for you because Anakin was happy and it kept him stable. Well, not anymore."
Yeah, I've never saw that scene. I never saw that scene.
Yeah, I saw it on an Instagram post, sadly, but again, I love this because this is like the ultimate conclusion to Anakin just kind of breaking down. In fact, he still feels that confliction even after killing all the separatist leaders on Mustafar, because like even though he's surrounded by nothing but dark, destroying lava, he sheds like a single tear, wondering, am I still doing the right thing? Padme will still be safe in the end. I mean, especially when Padme goes to Mustafar to greet Anakin, Obi-Wan sneaks on the ship.
Yeah.
Padme is just like, you don't understand. Bad things are happening. It's like, no, good things are happening. It's going to be okay, Padme. And this is the one time Padme does not appreciate what Anakin did. Like, here's the thing. I have a feeling if Obi-Wan didn't show up outside, Anakin would probably start feeling a little bit of heartbreak. But since Obi-Wan appeared, he's just like, liar! You brought him here to kill me! Force chokes Padme.
Yeah. I will say that I think also too, in that scene in Mustafar, I also think, well, it's not just that scene, but as the film goes on, here's an interesting thing to think about. I think he also is starting to understand, because Anakin is somebody his whole life who's been told, "Oh, I'm the chosen one, this and that. I'm so powerful," but yet he thinks he's being held back by all these other factors. And I think in this movie, he's seeing the power that the dark side offers, and he's getting a little power crazy. So here's an interesting question I want to pose to you guys, because I thought about this after I saw this movie in theaters a few weeks ago. When at the end of the movie, when he's obviously doing very bad things, right, killing people, killing younglings, and all that, and he's telling Padme, he's like, "Hey, I'm doing this for us. I'm doing this to keep you safe and all that."
Yeah.
Here's the question. Is he truly doing it to protect, doing all these horrible things to protect, because he thinks it'll help protect Padme? Or is he being power hungry and he's using the Padme thing as a thinly veiled justification for
I
his
think a
power
little bit of both.
I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking the same thing.
Because if you meant, I know Attack of the Clones dialogue is cringy, but I feel like that one scene where Padme and Anakin are discussing politics, it was like, I don't think the system works.
Yeah.
Like he even says to Padme, like, we should have one person make the decisions. I was like, doesn't that sound like a dictatorship?
That is a dictatorship.
Oh no, I'm not brave enough for politics. Yeah, I realized I missed that line the first time, but I'm like, oh, there's my opportunity. There it is.
I actually like that line.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a lovely line right there. And I saw a meme where it was like, me before drinking. Oh no, I'm not brave enough for politics. Me after 12 drinks. My allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy.
So, anyways, are you going to continue with the answer to that question?
Before I do think it's a bit of both.
Tim, what do you think?
Anakin's like, sorry. Tim,
well, it's just that when Anakin was being burned alive, I'm surprised he didn't talk like a caveman and slurring his words as he was being burned, like saying, "Me hate you, me hate you so bad." Anakin.
Well, that wasn't the question. The question was, do you think Anakin did all this because he was power hungry, or did he genuinely believe he was trying to save Padme?
what do you think? It's obviously about Padme, so
I said it was a little bit of both, actually.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
did you hear the question I asked?
yeah, I heard. So it was obviously about Padme and only Padme. So, and of course, the Jedi said that love and compassion is a weakness. You're a fool to be, you're a fool to be in a relationship. So, as they said. So,
Do you think as Anakin is going further and further to the dark side, do you think he's I mean, don't you think he's getting quite a bit power hungry with all the power and the control that he has with this position in the dark
hey,
side?
well, if the
Yeah.
Jedi rejected me constantly and Palpatine was nice to me, you can't blame him. So,
What?
so.
Are you saying Anakin did nothing wrong?
Well, I don't know. Like, if I was just wronged my entire life and I was lied to, and I would, it's a little hard to blame him. So, just
That doesn't justify. That doesn't justify him killing younglings.
oh yeah, no, I wouldn't do that.
That doesn't justify him killing everyone. Like, yeah,
oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, just because a character, a character
look-
can be understandable, but that doesn't mean they. That doesn't mean you have
That's
to like say, oh,
justify
they
what
did
they
nothing
do.
wrong.
Yeah, that's.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just think
I
that's one of the biggest.
yeah, I forgot that
Continue.
scene. How can I forget that scene? So,
And also too, it's like when he goes to the separatist leaders on Mustafar. I mean, say what you will about them, but they were still officials. They weren't armed. Like
Yeah.
they were defenseless, and he just chopped them all up, chopped them all into little pieces.
and under
Yes,
Palpatine's orders, So,
Yeah.
and when you hear someone saying "we'll take care of you," that's a red flag that they didn't consider. Like the leaders didn't consider that might be a huge red flag. That saying "we'll take care of you." Like apparently they're
here's
too.
Here's the thing. Count Dooku died. They lost a lot of major separatist players in the game. I mean, Asajj Ventress is out of action. Count Dooku is dead. Freaking Grievous died in the most uncivilized way imaginable.
Yep. Even though Grievous was still coughing and about to die, I find it funny that he still.
He wasn't about to die. He wasn't
He
about
was about
to
to
die.
die. That was just. I think
he
that
was
was just
coughing. He was sick. Like despite being so sick and sickly,
he could still put up a fight. Tim, did you not see Obi-Wan nearly get his ass kicked?
Yeah, even though he was like dying from some disease, like he was coughing the entire time. So
No, it wasn't from a disease. In the when the old Clone Wars show, the 2D one, it was actually established that I guess he took like a blaster bolt or something to the chest, and that's why he has the cough. It's not because he's sick; it's because of a wound.
Yeah. So
and yet he still has the energy to be so sadistic and power hungry, And I heard that Grievous killed children as well. So is that right?
No, I don't know if he did. No, he killed a Padawan, but I don't know if he slaughtered younglings. But I know freaking Darth Maul in the Clone Wars slaughtered an entire village as a means of attracting Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I heard that Grievous was just another crazy ass. He was just insane and very more sadistic, of course, and I'm surprised he was just so unhinged and everything. Just was interesting to see. So
yeah. Well, so here's the thing. As much as I love Grievous, he's amazing, but I will be honest, from a writing standpoint, he's more about hype moments and aura. Like, we don't get a lot of story behind him. Like, that character is just pure aura. Like, that's what the kids call it.
That's kind of what I meant earlier when I said that Grievous wasn't that great of a villain. It's like there's not that much to his character. He's just a droid who collects lightsabers and shit, and he's like, it's all about aura, like you said.
I still love him.
I think that,
but I still like Grievous. I think he's a cool villain. I think he's just I just think Grievous kind of lives off the rule of cool as a character, both in the Clone Wars TV show and the freaking movies. Like he just lives off rule of cool.
Which, to be fair, that's a lot of Star Wars villains. The Fets.
Wait, who?
The Fets.
Oh, the Fets.
Boba, and Jango.
That makes sense, but I mean. Yeah, Grievous. Like, plus I love Grievous's design. Like, I think it's cool how he kind of like foreshadows that. Like, he just seems like a bumbling robot, but then like he's like, back away! I will deal with this fly myself. Forearms, attack, Kenobi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Have you
surprised
seen-
that.
I saw behind the scenes where apparently they apply a lot of voice modulation because like his actual voice actor like just Grievous without modulation just sounds like someone desperately trying to do a Count Dracula impression. I almost said Count Dankula for some reason.
I mean, it'd be pretty ironic since like one of the most famous Count Dracula actors is in this movie. So
That's true. Yeah.
I will
That
say
is
though,
true.
one of my problems with this movie, I don't know if you guys will agree with me on this, but both of them are involving Anakin actually. One of them is I think his actual turn to the dark side is a bit too sudden. It's like he goes from noble Jedi to like child murdering psychopath in like 15 minutes at
I
the
do think
whim
there's a pacing issue.
at the drop of a coin essentially once Mace Windu gets killed.
Hey Tim, can you mute your computer if you're going to be like deleting files? Because I can hear your computer's kind of bleeding through the call.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, are you calling us on your iPad or your computer?
On my iPad.
Yeah, mute your computer because I've heard like the Mac app file through the call. Anyways.
Sorry.
But anyways, going back to what you said, Drew, I definitely feel like there's definitely some pacing issues on this, but I don't
I agree.
necessarily fully agree to the extent that Anakin like turned at the drop of a hat. I think they really built it up for what it's worth. Like it wasn't completely rushed or anything. They definitely gave it some space, like Anakin's bad dream, Yoda telling him don't worry, and then like the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
What I was saying is like the pieces are there. Like you're right, the pieces are there. It's just that the turn itself is like is like it's like that. It's like at the snap of fingers, because he helps the Emperor kill Mace Windu, and then he's immediately like I will pledge myself to your teachings and all that stuff.
But he does it in such a hesitant way. Like he's in pain and sadness when he says that. Like you just see it in his face. You see it in his face.
I mean, yeah. I'm not sure
Like,
what it has to do with the speed of it all. It's like
I just don't necessarily agree with that. Like I think they built it up pretty well, not just in this movie, but the whole movie was just building up to Anakin turning.
But yeah, that's the point of this movie.
Yeah, well, it's the whole point of all the
So
movies.
the question is,
the whole
like,
movie had an overarching plot of the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker.
I still feel like though, and this is kind of what I was talking about at the very, very beginning of this podcast when I said that episode 1 and 2 to an extent kind of feel like filler, is because it's like you can just watch Revenge of the Sith and get all the context you really need.
Yeah, that makes sense. That actually makes sense. But I don't necessarily agree with the other films being completely. You should abandon them. I don't think you should abandon them.
I mean, I did say to an extent, but it's not like the original trilogy where it's like each movie was like its own part of the story, even though that had some continuity issues of their own, like Luke and Leia kissing, for example. But so it's like you can watch all of them and see the different progressions of the story. And I'm not saying that's not present here. It's just that I don't think it's as strong necessarily is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Also, the second thing involving Anakin is I wish we would have, because when we see him after we see him turn to Darth Vader, outside of his duel with Obi-Wan, we only ever see him kill either children or the separatist leaders who are unarmed and defenseless. I would have liked at least to see him take out one Jedi Master, at least one, just one.
That's fair.
Just one, because I think when you just show him murdering children and murdering defenseless people and then losing to the one guy who's on his level, it kind of makes Vader look less like of a of this force to be reckoned with, and it kind of makes him out to be more of a bully in a way when you show him just killing defenseless people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he did it on the order of Palpatine and showing that I'm now in charge.
I mean, yes, but
Oh
still.
yeah, speaking of Palpatine, I think that Palpatine was behind literally everything behind the entire episode 3. Don't you think? I mean,
That's literally that's
the point.
not a theory. That's literally been confirmed. That's literally the whole point. It's the whole Clone Wars is just Palpatine versus Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
Palpatine versus Palpatine. What?
Is in Darth Sidious versus Palpatine in a way.
Darth Sidious versus Palpatine.
Even though they're the same person.
Yeah, that's but the difference is Sidious set it all up so he can take power.
Yeah.
So I'm running out of things to say about this movie. Oh, I have a bad feeling about this. Not in the I wanted to say something about the overall trilogy. Like, did you notice that in Phantom Menace, the droids they sound like they don't sound like the battle droids. They all sound like this, and they're a lot more high pitched and more comically goofy from time to time. But in and you notice in Phantom Menace, like the battle droid, at least the battle droids actually they have more of like an accent to them. Like they sound very Italian American. Like they were like more of a threat. They were more of a threat. They weren't as goofy.
Yeah,
I mean, the battle droids.
The super battle droids, right? The gray ones, the silver ones.
No, the regular battle droids.
Oh,
like, have you noticed in Phantom Menace, like there are parts where the battle droid says, that doesn't compute. Wait, you're under arrest." And then, of course, where he's talking to the separatist leaders, saying that a ship has escaped or that they've rounded up all the citizens of Naboo.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, later on, they get more high pitched throughout the movies. Or hands up, Jedi. Like, yeah, you hear that. You see, you hear it. You hear the inflection get more high pitched.
Yeah, this is kind of a small thing, but seeing the droidicas in these movies kind of gave me PTSD flashbacks from my childhood playing Battlefront 2, the original. The droidicas were always the most annoying enemies to fight in that game whenever you were playing as the Republic.
Watch out for those wrist rockets. Okay, so this is kind of funny, but when I went to go see Revenge of the Sith re-released in theaters, the ticket taker said, "May the Force be with you," and I said back, "Watch out for those wrist rockets."
Did he get it?
She smiled.
Yes, if I was a ticket taker in the movie theater and someone said that to me, I'd be like, you know what? Here's your money back. You can go in for free. I love that game so much.
Sorry, it's Drew. I don't know if you've seen this, but so I know. So The Last of Us 2 spawned like a big redraw meme where like people redrew over like certain scenes.
Yeah.
Like one of them is like the scene where like one character's getting punched by like a big fat muscly character, but they redrew that to like a super battle droid, but his fist is like a wrist rocket hitting a clone trooper across the helmet. Someone like redrew that. You might find that funny.
That is funny. Trying to think. I will say though something about Revenge of the Sith, and I guess the prequels as a whole. Something I do have to give some semblance of credit for, and I don't want to go too deep into this because this gets into some, shall we say, touchy issues, but touchy topics.
I'm not brave enough for politics.
Yeah. So I find a lot of these. I find a lot of these themes to be terrifyingly relevant in today's society. And that is all I'm going to say, because I don't want to start up.
I feel like as politicians, though, I feel like as politicians, though, I feel like this kind of reflects with a lot of real life politicians in general, not just one specific politician whom we shall not name.
Well, to be fair, also too, a lot of this is based on Hitler's rise to power before World War II, so there's that.
Yeah, it's actually funny you mention that because how like the original trilogy was based on like 60s culture or something.
Yeah.
What I feel like the prequel trilogy was like based on like the decade before that. So a lot of thought went into the design of the battleships, the speeders, just to make them all look different, to make them
Oh,
kind of reassemble like
a lot
those.
of the a lot of the environments and stuff in the prequels definitely have some influence from like 50s era sci-fi to
Yeah.
them. So I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
By the way, I want to give a big fuck you to this one comedian that said that when he made a terrible joke shitting on the prequels by saying George saw 3 dog turds and wrote the prequels. Fuck you, you're not funny.
Which comedian was that?
I forgot his name, and quite frankly, I think the whole. Nah, I'm being too mean, but that,
I,
I
I
just
mean,
want to say,
I mean, that is a pretty lame joke. I'll give you that.
yeah, I'm so I think the prequels were way too overhated, and quite frankly, it was a little disheartening to see all this all these other I mean, it wasn't too disheartening, but it was mostly the internet side of things, specifically the webcomic Dorkly, which I don't like. I don't like them anymore. I'm not gonna
Dorkly,
get to
I feel like I know them because didn't they do like 8-bit Star Wars parody videos years ago?
they did like they did like a bunch of web comics, but nowadays they just do sprite animations, which
Yeah,
I
that's
like sprite animations.
that's kind of what I'm talking about. That's all I ever saw from that channel, and
Yeah.
this was like
Apparently
5 years
they
ago.
hired the same people who did Sonic for Hire.
Sonic
But
for Hire.
anyways,
That is a blast from
Yeah,
the
they
past.
used to be college humor, you know.
no, they didn't.
They used to be college humor. I remember growing up, you know, in middle school watching college humor. So it's the same company. It's just look up college humor, Dorkly. They're the same, you know, they're the same company. So I just know it.
Well, look, the reason why I bought Dorgo is because they were probably the meanest. Like they were. This is before I learned about Red Letter Media, but like they were like the
Oh
meanest
God,
on
Red
the
Letter
prequel
Media.
trilogies.
Don't get me started on Red Letter Media.
Interesting.
What's Red Letter Media?
We'll talk about it later. We don't want to start YouTube drama. To all YouTubers watching this, we love you, except for no, we love you. We don't want no drama. We just want to dance.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, but
we can save this for after we're done recording.
yeah. Anyways, I've run out of things to talk about Revenge of the Sith. Like I could keep gushing. I feel like that's the same too. I feel like I haven't gushed enough about this movie already. Like I love Revenge of the Sith. It's my favorite Star Wars movie.
You know,
I will say like there are definitely some issues of pacing, but every good quality Revenge of the Sith outshines its bad qualities, and I've already used that for
You know,
I think it does have
visible
some of the,
happiness.
yeah, and I think it does have some of that
Yeah.
iffy dialogue that the other movies have, but not quite
Yeah.
as much.
And I love how the final scene is literally just the moons with like Uncle Owen and Aunt What's Her Face,
Aunt
like
Beru.
holding baby Luke.
Aunt Beru.
Who? Aunt
Beru.
Beru. Aunt Beru.
Yeah.
Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen holding baby Luke and looking off into the distance of like the same sunset. Like, yeah, this is the new hope that they're looking for. And I also realized that Obi-Wan actually ends up in a lot of pain at the end of this movie. Like, not only did he supposedly kill Anakin, like after like the Battle of Mustafar, you can see like he puts his hand in his face and he gets he literally watches Padme die in front of his eyes.
I mean,
and of course Yoda
he's probably emotionally exhausted too.
I know, and like you can see like after he gives baby Luke to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, like, you know, he's just so worried, and you know, he's been through so much shit. Like, is everything gonna be okay? Like, yeah, the camera implies that there is hope on the horizon, but Obi-Wan's he comes across as more uncertain. He's very, very uncertain.
Yeah.
But despite his uncertainty, there is hope.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why I love Revenge of the Sith so much.
You know, just one thing I never really mentioned. I know that it was common consensus of me to say that Anakin wasn't really at fault, but let's just say that, Anakin did what he did because he chose to, instead of just knowing better what he should have been, what he promised to be a Jedi master, but he chose to go down this dark path, and it's hard to feel sorry for him. And
he did choose it. Like, he had so many opportunities, like to listen to Mace Windu. And
he could have let Mace Windu kill Palpatine, and the galaxy probably would have been better for it.
Yeah, in fact, so this is kind of funny, but maybe it's a meme, but maybe it's not. But one of the reasons that Mace Windu probably told him to wait in the council chamber is that after he killed Mace Windu, he would have given him the rank of master and actually respect him.
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
So
Wait. If
you know
Mace-
the old, the classic scene. You're on this council, but we not grant you the rank of master. And Mace Windu disrespecting Anakin, and like someone said, what if he told Anakin to wait in the council chamber so when he comes back he can grant him the rank of master?
Well, that's probably what he was going to do, because he even said right before, told Anakin right before he left, just like, if what you told me about Palpatine being the Sith Lord is true, then you will have gained my trust.
Yeah,
That's exactly what he says to Anakin.
So it's a little rare when Palpatine, not Palpatine, Mace Windu still told him off throughout this whole trilogy, still dismissed him. And here's something cool too. One detail I want to point out. So in the beginning of the movie, right after he kills Count Dooku, Anakin acknowledges, I shouldn't have done that. That was not right. It was not the Jedi way. But Palpatine says, oh, he was too dangerous to be left alive. But when Mace Windu was about to kill Palpatine, he's like, no, he needs to stand trial. This isn't Jedi. Like, he's too dangerous to be left alive.
You know what?
It's like poetry rhymes.
I probably wouldn't have. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have interfered if I was Anakin. I would have. He was the Sith Lord, so I would just stay out of it, and Mace Windu would have whooped him and for good, and conflict. So
he would have not gained that unlimited power.
You're just gonna run through all of them, huh?
What?
You're just gonna run through all the greatest hits, huh?
Yeah, I wish I could shoot Force lightning out of my hands. If people piss me off. So
the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities considered unnatural.
Dude, we didn't talk about that scene, the Darth Plagueis opera scene.
Oh yeah.
We didn't talk about, dude. That scene is so good, honestly.
Oh yeah. I actually recited that entire scene in a Black Ops 2 lobby one time, just for no reason.
Was anybody?
Anyways,
were you like talking to anybody or?
Yes, there was like a hacker in the lobby, kind of messing up the game and displaying text like, "Hey hacker, did you hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?" And he displays the text no, like, and then I just start going off the whole story.
That's funny.
Yeah, I essentially just trolled, instead of like screeching at the hacker, I just said, "Hey hacker, did you hear about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?" Just kind of go on from there. But anyways, like it's really cool because like it's when you mention that scene, like there isn't a lot going on, but it's the atmosphere. It's the atmosphere that's so cool. Like the music, the way Palpatine looks all calm and like, oh, this guy doesn't know what's coming for him, whereas Anakin's just kind of hesitant and shaky. And when he's like, "Did you hear?" He's like, "Oh, it's not." And then he mentions the ability to heal people, and Anakin gets all curious, and he's like, "Is it possible to learn from this power? Not from a Jedi." And I don't know why Anakin could have just like suspected that. Like he did finally like figure it out. Like in the hallway, he was like, "You're the Sith Lord."
Yeah.
And again, this is just showing that how conflicted Anakin is. He doesn't know what to do: trust his feelings or trust the Jedi.
And he ends up going with his feelings.
Yeah, Tim, what are your thoughts on the Darth Plagueis scene?
I mean, it sounds like Palpatine was trained by Plagueis, but of course, Plagueis got killed by his apprentice. Sounds like.
Which was Palpatine, probably.
So the question is, why did Palpatine kill him in the first place?
Because he was a cunning bastard.
And because he wanted power.
Yeah.
So
I already said it.
So you're telling me from birth he was born evil? Am I right?
Well,
he just chose.
I mean, probably not. Maybe. I mean, we don't really know that.
I don't really know. I mean, maybe there's like an extended universe.
Because it sounds like that he was born evil and ambition the moment he could walk and talk as a baby. So interesting. You think that?
And there is the idea. If you want to get into psychology, there is the idea that some people are just born evil. But I don't know if Palpatine applies to that. I mean, maybe there's some EU stuff. Maybe Disney's making a new canon. But, I mean, Yeah, it is confirmed that Darth Plagueis was a master, and that the Padawan, was Palpatine, and it's like he said, ironic. He could save others from death, but not himself. Which, by the way, Ian McDermott, he still kicks it in the prequel trilogy.
He's probably the best actor in the prequel trilogy, to be honest.
I thought it was you. I thought it was kind of Ewan, but that's respectable, honestly.
I mean, Obi-Wan still has a few iffy lines sometimes, but
yeah, I mean, I loved. Obi-Wan. I loved Obi-Wan this whole trilogy. Like, not gonna lie, that trilogy made Obi-Wan my favorite character in Star Wars.
I mean, he is one of the best parts of that trilogy.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
so, I guess, does anybody have anything else to say about Revenge of the Sith? We've probably been going on for quite a while.
Oh yeah. We haven't got much time. Well, the negotiations were not short. Let's get to the conclusion and say, I love Revenge of the Sith. This is my favorite Star Wars movie. It's absolute cinema.
Mm-hmm. I don't agree that obviously that Revenge is the best Star Wars movie. In fact, I'd probably put it probably number 4 or 5 on my ranking, which is still good.
Respectable.
But I still think it's a good movie. It's the best of the prequel trilogy. And it's the one you really should watch. If you haven't seen these movies, that's the one you should watch. Because you can get you can pretty much get all the context you need from Revenge of the Sith.
I still think 1 and 2 are worth watching, even if 2 is a bitter pill to swallow.
That's a way.
Drew, Tim, what are your thoughts on Revenge of the Sith? Give us your final closing thoughts on Revenge of the Sith.
The most friggin' emotional thing I've ever seen.
Hell yeah.
It was heartbreaking. I'll tell you that much.
Like, no joke, I still get a little goosebumps when Obi-Wan says, "You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you," because there is so much pain in his face. Like, he wants to cry.
We all know that
he still does cry, but like, imagine, like, he knows Anakin's about to die, and the last thing he's like, fun fact, the last thing Anakin's ever heard from anyone is, "I love you." His mom says, "I love you," dies. The last thing Padme says to Anakin, "I love you." The last thing Obi-Wan says to Anakin before he burns, "I love you." Like, Anakin didn't know what he had till it's gone. This is what makes him a very tragic character.
And also, at the very end of Return of the Jedi, when he dies as Darth Vader, like after he turns back to the good side, the last thing he hears in his entire life is Luke saying, "I won't leave you." So, yeah. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's deep. That is fucking deep right there.
Are you kidding? I mean, he just wasn't gonna let his son die. I mean, after all that and
father die, but yeah.
I mean, Palpatine was going to kill Luke, so of course Vader had to do something about it. So
it's like Padme said to Obi-Wan before she died. There is still good in him. In fact, even during Padme's funeral, she held onto the necklace that young Anakin gave her.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, man, Anakin is such a tragic character. Like, the amount of pain he's gone through.
And yet people say he chose to be a monster and stuff.
I mean, he did.
He did. He went, like, he could have, but he chose, like, here's the thing. Just because what a character does is understandable doesn't make him justified. He killed children, for crying out loud, Tim.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. I draw the line at that, so...
Like, It was really cool to see his downfall, but at the same time, when you think about it, it just hurts.
Yeah, I draw the line on the kids thing now that since you mentioned that, so... Yeah, that was...
I mean, there's a bunch of other... I mean, like, I get it. Like,
that was
conflicted. And again,
he was manipulated from the start, so it was obvious. Like, Palpatine just blindly pushed him further and further. So he's just this mindless slave to Palpatine.
He's not mindless.
He's not mindless, but he is. Tim is right that he is a slave to Palpatine after he becomes Darth Vader.
He is, but like, just again, like again, like I said, if Obi-Wan hadn't showed up, maybe Anakin might have probably reconsidered.
Well, I think by that point it might have been a bit too late because he was so deep into the dark side by that point.
Yep.
Yeah, you can tell, like, when Padme was around before Obi-Wan showed up, Anakin was still trying. Like, like it felt like that scene in Spider-Man 3 where Mary Jane's breaking up with Peter just so like, you know, she doesn't get killed or something. You know, that could have been that scene. But then Obi-Wan was just like, "Hello there." Well, he doesn't actually say that, but you know, he's there. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's pretty much, again, this could be like the Nightcrawler episode where I could just like gush on about this movie. Oh,
Except this movie is way better than Nightcrawler.
I beg to differ, but okay. Well, that's the prequel trilogy. What was everybody's favorite? As per tradition of what we did in the last one, what was everybody's favorite movie out of the prequel trilogy?
Revenge.
It's still Phantom Menace.
And if I haven't made it obvious enough, my favorite movie of the prequel trilogy is the made-for-TV Clone Wars movie that aired in theaters in America.
Oh my God!
I'm just kidding. It was Revenge of the Sith.
You know what? I'm ashamed to admit this, but I was one of those people that saw that movie in theaters when it came out.
I did too. I was a wee little kid and I loved it because of the Star Wars. But I rewatched it as an adult, and holy shit, it's like
I was funny.
It's the movie equivalent of Drakengard 1 on the PS2.
I don't remember it. So
you know, I'll non sequitur aside, how much do you want to bet that you guys have probably watched the Star Wars Christmas special? Am I right?
I haven't, and I will never watch.
I have not, but that'd make for a good episode. That'd make for a really good episode.
No.
I had to. I had to suffer for one of the movies we had to watch for this, and the viewers will probably take a guess at what it is when we get to it. The next episode.
Well, you know what? I had to suffer through Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace, so that's enough for me.
And you're not even gonna give the holiday special a chance. Like,
no, never.
I might. Don't test me. I might. I almost watched.
And
I almost
come it's not
Netflix.
Publicly available? Why isn't it on DVD or like Blu-ray?
I have no idea, but I was about to say I almost watched Netflix Cowboy Bebop out of spite because I was in a bad mood for some reason. I don't know why, but anyways, so yeah, that I think how do I can't think of a good prequel meme to end this on, but this is how this podcast ends, with absolute insanity.
Well, it can't be with thunderous applause because nobody's applauding. Oh my God, dude, that actually might be one of my favorite lines in the movie. By the way, what Padme says right there. This is how Liberty dies, with thunderous applause. It's a great line.
That's a great line. In fact, we did not hold on before we end this podcast. Natalie Portman, she's cute and she's amazing.
She's great, yeah. I will say, one of my other problems with Revenge of the Sith is that up until the end, Padme's just sort of there. Like,
well, to be fair, she was pregnant.
Do
you expect her to be fighting with a bunch of babies? Do you expect her to be that one freaking Spider-Man person from Into the Spider-Verse? Yeah, there's a pregnant Spider-Man in Beyond the Spider-Verse, and she rides a motorcycle. But to be fair, she was pregnant. So as much as it is disappointing to see Padme, like, she still tried to do things to the extent, like, realizing, oh shit, the Emperor is evil. We need to sort this shit out right now. Like, she still tried, even regardless of, you know, her pregnancy. Like, Natalie Portman was fantastic as Padme, and Padme wasn't just some damsel princess. She actually tried to do things. Like, she was smart. She was a chick. She fought over people. Like, a lot of people only say, like, oh, Leia and Ahsoka, but Padme was pretty cool too. I mean, in Revenge of the Sith, you know, she was pregnant, so she couldn't do much. But the only thing that really destroyed her. We're glazing Padme, Tim. We're glazing Padme and Natalie Portman.
Wait a minute. How did Padme figure out that Palpatine was behind everything?
Well, she didn't, but like,
because she was in attendance when Palpatine was declaring the Republic to be the first galactic empire.
Yeah,
that's pretty evil. So
I want to point out too, like, every actor was amazing in the prequel trilogy. Every actor did incredible. You got Samuel Jackson,
I agree
Hayden
that.
Christensen.
I agree that the actors did the best they could with the material, and they were well
Yeah.
cast. I mean,
A lot of people hated Hayden Christensen.
here's a little anecdote for you guys. I was actually one of the people several years back that's like, even though I really don't like the prequels all that much outside of Revenge of the Sith, I was one of the people that sort of defended Hayden Christensen, so I didn't think it was any of the stuff was his fault. My brother, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. He was like, no, Hayden Christensen.
Jesus.
He was like, no, Hayden Christensen sucks. Blah 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 blah. When the um Kenobi TV show came out, my brother came to me and was like, man, I was so wrong about Hayden Christensen. And I'm just like, I've been telling you that for years, and you would not listen to me. I'm not going to say his performance is like amazing or anything like that, because I don't think it is, but I don't think it's his fault.
I think it fit the character incredibly well.
I think it's the fault of the dialogue and some of the direction from Mr. Faster and more intense George Lucas. But it's like, that's not his fault. But to see him as Anakin again in the newer stuff with different direction and with better writing, with better dialogue specifically, it's like, no, he was right for the part. It's just that his direction let him down.
Well, I still think Hayden Christensen did such a good job. Like he was a great Anakin. And fun fact, did you know that they actually redesigned the Vader suit so Hayden Christensen can wear that? Like, imagine having the Darth Vader suit made for you so you can portray this iconic character on screen.
So how did Hayden reprise his role despite being older? And did they
he's talking about the Obi-Wan show. He's talking about the Obi-Wan show.
So what? Did they de-age him or something? Did they use
a little bit? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Not really. A little bit. Like, I mean, I know Hayden's definitely older now. Like, have you seen the promotional material for Revenge of the Sith re-release?
Yeah,
he's definitely gotten pretty old, and it's really cool to know that he still appreciates the fans. And that is amazing. And
even though it's funny, not funny, but it's like he used to be like the center of a lot of the negativity surrounding.
He did not deserve that.
No, he did not deserve it. I mean, to be fair, no actor really does deserve that kind of negativity, unless they're a genuine piece of shit, right?
Yeah, but what's really interesting is that Hayden Christensen, even though he's an actor, he also does farming on the side.
He has a farm, I think, somewhere in Ontario, because he's from Canada, so he has a farm somewhere. I did see an interview with him, I think, fairly recently, where he was like, "Yeah, I stopped farming the land, so there's not much farming going on there anymore."
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. It's good to know that he still finds acting work. What's funny too is that even when he did little farmers markets, people who recognize him would actually take photos with him and get him to sign things.
And also, one last thing about going off of what my brother said about Hayden Christensen and all that. A couple of just a couple of months ago, Hayden Christensen was in San Francisco at some convention, and some comic convention or whatever. And I don't know if my brother went, but I know in the weeks leading up to it, he said I might want to go just so I can personally apologize to him.
Oh yeah, he better apologize. We love Hayden Christensen. Much love to Hayden Christensen.
And I'm just like, because trust me, with my brothers, there's things like this that I like rubbing it in his face sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I fucking told you for years that.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I even vividly remember when we were on. It was me, my dad, and my brother. We were driving to the theater to go see Rise of Skywalker, and I was kind of trying to defend Hayden Christensen a little bit, and he was like, no, those movies suck, his performance sucks, blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, all right, whatever, man. I just sort of let it go. And then just a couple of years ago, after the Obi-Wan show came out, and he was like, yeah, dude, Hayden Christensen was actually pretty good. I'm like, I fucking told you so.
Somebody pick up the phone because Drew freaking called it.
Exactly. One last thing. Speaking of Hayden Christensen, one of the things I think he does really well in the prequels and why he was perfectly cast is, I remember that that scene with the Separatist leaders on Mustafar, just killing them and all that. Remember that
Yeah.
shot where he turns to the camera and you see his eyes are yellow and all that? I'm like,
Oh yeah, that was so
I'm like,
cool.
that is young Darth Vader right there. Like that is young Darth Vader before the suit right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like he very much looks the part in that shot. Very, very good.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I think I've run out of glazing energy for. I think glazing this movie really wore me out.
Okay.
We're gonna end the podcast here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching the movie Mortis podcast. Look forward to our next episode where we cover the sequel trilogy, where I may not be as excited or happy to talk about those movies, but
No.
we hope you enjoyed this.
Nick will be like me this episode.
Oh yeah, prepare to see the most drastic character change you'll ever see. Until then,
and it's okay because I'll be the very enthusiastic one next week. Well, for part of it, anyways.
Boy.
For part of it, anyways.
Oh. Yeah. Well, to preface the sequel trilogy episode, I've got a bad feeling about this. Until then, we hope to see you in the next episode. And since it's still Star Wars month, may the Force be with you.